It's the match preview, and today we're going to be talking about Luton Town travelling to Ewood Park this Saturday and see if we can continue. Well, I guess it's good form, a win after back-to-back losses. Yeah,
It's better.
We're going to see.
It's
better. There are green shoots of success, and we're going to see if those green shoots blossom into a beautiful plant or if they are green shoots of horrendous weeds. But with me to discuss the delights of horticulture, it's my co-host, it's Mark Ryman. How are we getting on?
Just because I'm from Norfolk, there's no need to start stereotyping, right? We're not all farmers, mate. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right, yeah. I think, as you said, time will tell, but I certainly feel a lot better about this game than I thought I would post-Swansea, that's for sure.
Yeah, it certainly helps when the players are actually giving it a go on the pitch and everyone seems to know what they're doing. And there were some real signs of optimism, which we'll discuss now in our recap of Luton 2, Stoke City 1. Looking back at this game, some very encouraging stats. I would say there were only two patches just before half-time and just after half-time where Stoke were the team on top. But overall, Luton Town did incredibly well. 18 shots, 5 big chances, Vic Johansson, and also some incredible defending on the line from Stoke City meant that this was only 2-1. And both Morris and Adebayo on the score sheet.
Yeah, I have to say, what a goal from Adebayo. I think that got overlooked a bit on the TV. I was watching it on TV and it just sort of acted as if it deflected it in. When you look at the replay, the amount of control that he had to put that in the top corner, he clearly meant to do it. I thought, brilliant. And do you know what? The last 3 goals have shown what confidence is searing back into Eli, and that is great news. That really is. I just love them as a 3. I think all of them were dangerous. I think Brown as well caused all sorts of problems towards their defence. A lovely headed goal from Morris as well. It's what we know he can do. So yeah, I mean on the attacking front, there were some real positives there. It was good to see I don't want to call them wing backs because Moses being a wing back's a stretch. Chong being a wing back is just silly, but wherever they're playing in that 4, let's say, looked really dangerous coming forward as well. I know they swapped quite early on, didn't they? But I think both of them caused the defence problem as well, and getting out to the wing, which is part of that reason. So as you say, yeah, some real positives there. And lastly, just a word on that midfield. I can't pick between Krause and Clark really for man of the match. I think you said Clark, didn't you, in your post-match, and I definitely wouldn't disagree, but either of them could have got that. Both of them were absolutely immense.
They worked really well together. They sort of knew when to go and drop and press together, but also we didn't get cut through too much. Like what tends to happen in a 3-4-3 system, as we've seen a lot before we return to the 3-5-2. And yes, I did point out in my post-match as well that Rob very sneakily changed it to a 3-4-3, although it was a bit weird having Chong and Moses there. But yeah, as you say, they both did fine. They both did, especially Moses, who did very well going back, especially with a very tricky customer, and Lewis Kumas, who's one of the players that you picked out in the pre-match as well. But it again, with Stoke's first goal, it kind of it was a goal that we'd seen quite a bit, and if Hashi had been maybe 5 centimeters taller, I don't think the goal would have happened, because he did get his toe to it. But at the same time, it was a pass through the middle, but hopefully they can watch the tapes back and be like, okay, so we won't do this moving forward.
We'd hope not. It was a pass that cut us open, and we've seen that many times. It was. With the 3-4-3, it happens. It has happened. It happened at the start of the season. It was a good pass. I just wonder, watching it back, whether Hashi quite realised that Cannon was in on goal. because I know there was not huge amounts else, but it felt a little bit like, like he could have done a bit more. I would say that, certainly at the time, I felt like actually should have done a lot better with that. And it felt like he thought there was a covering defender coming back or something, because it just seemed too easy at the time. It was a very good pass, though, I have to say that. But what a terrible start. And it shows something about the character, because I don't know about you, after that goal went in, I was like, right, is there any point in keep watching this, or are we in for another disappointing evening? Because but to fair play to the players, I don't think there was any sulking at all, really. We got straight back on it, and we looked far more likely that first half. And if it wasn't for some goal line clearances and good goalkeeping, we'd have been 2-1 up at half time.
Yeah, well, you know what? Straight after that goal, the crowd did not react well to it, and on a really cold night as well. Fair play to everyone that went, myself being one of them. But there were a lot of empty seats. But the way that the team reacted to it, as you say, it was encouraging to see, rather than going into full capitulation, shutdown mode, like woo. And then we concede a few more, because we were saying just before as well, Stoke really had some tricky players in the middle as well. And I've seen a lot of people saying, but Stoke were rubbish. They weren't rubbish. No. They really weren't, yes, they might have time wasted a lot, but I think Stoke were very good. Defensively, they were questionable at times, but in the midfield, and I'd say they were probably one of the better teams in the final third than I've seen at Kenilworth Road this season. And that even includes Sunderland, who were very... they took their chances, their limited chances, but Stoke, they knock it around really nicely in the final third.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly had their moments. I would say this, though. I think defensively, they were a bit all over the place. Last-ditch clearances, fine, but they looked, every time we put a corner in, looked like that we were going to score from it. Mm-hmm. So, from their point of view, that, I suppose, and they look a bit like they don't really know what their identity is, and we know all about that, don't we? But they looked a bit like that. They don't know which kind of how to play football or what they're going to do. Tom Cannon looks a player when he's given the chance, mm-hmm. though, and clearly he was always going to score. It's so classic. I was just waiting for him to get his hat trick, and I think he was the one that cleared one of them off the line as well against Eli in the second half. So, of course, he had something to say on that game. But I mean, they had their moments, like you said, in some of the second half, definitely.
I was going to say, and as I said, like in the final third, also the middle third, the midfield, they were very good. Defensively, you said it, you nailed it by saying a lot of scrambling around to try and hack it away and whatnot. There was that passage of play, in the second half where 3 point blank chances just going in, just hacking them away. It was sensational. And I mentioned on Twitter as well, like they can be gotten at from corners, and a lot of what we created were from corners. But at the same time, Tom Krause as well putting in an absolute peach of a ball for Carlton Morris, and half the ground thought it was in. I don't even know how Carlton missed it, but
I
creating
I still
those
think
types
it went
of things
in.
is good.
I watch it over and over again, and I don't know how it doesn't go in. It's a great move, though, isn't it? But it's weird, isn't it? Weird watching Stoke without any massive giants like your Danny Bath, for example, and players like that. Who's the player that went to Wickham? All of those kind of players, like the big, tall lads that play for Stoke. It was just ridiculous. They were so small.
Small and technical. It's weird seeing a Stoke team that's not built like a rugby team. I remember seeing Stoke around about the time that Peter Crouch was playing for them, and I saw them at my local train station getting off the train. I was like, "Whoa, these guys are massive! The size of these blokes." It was mad.
Exactly. That's the Stoke we know. Yeah, exactly that.
They're just so small now. But let's look ahead to Blackburn with some team news. Interestingly, Blackburn have quite the injury crisis as well, almost that of ourselves. So for this game, Blackburn have 8 players they're going to be missing out with injury, and Luton Town have 7 players that are confirmed to miss out. Those players, same as last game: Alfie Doughty, Amari Bell, Liam Walsh, Reece Burke, Ruel Walters, Shandon Baptiste, and Ted Mengi, who is a very long-term injury, with the rest possibly returning in a matter of weeks. But this was a game as well against Stoke. There were no substitutions, and Will from Luton Facts and Figures put out on socials, best account by the way, he put out that this was the first time since 2015, September 2015, when we beat Cambridge United 3-1, that we didn't make any changes in the game. So it's nearly 10 years. Do the same 11 go again? I see you shaking your head.
Well, I would have Nakamba, probably. And that sounds harsh because I think the 2 midfielders were the best players. It depends on what he plays as well. If he plays a 3-4-3, that's difficult. But I want Nakamba in my team away from home. I really do, especially against the likes of Blackburn, who have got that pace going forward. They've got some really, really dangerous attackers, Hashi and Dolan. I want Nakamba in my side. I don't care how you get him there, preferably in the 3. But we banged that drum long enough. I can't see how Clark and Krause can do another 90 after how much effort they put in, especially.
Well, they had like an extra 24 hours, I guess. Blackburn, I think.
True.
Did Blackburn play on the Tuesday or the Wednesday? I can't quite remember now.
Oh, no, they played Tuesday as well.
They played Tuesday. Yeah, but fortunately, we've had like a little bit longer to rest. And these are professional footballers. So like Tom Krause always seems up for it. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the same team go again. But at the same time, to take into account the way Blackburn play, it would be sensible to, prepare a little bit more defensive solidity. Tom Holmes and Hashioka as well on the outside. They're not blessed with the most pace, and like Tyrese Dolan, he loves like the cut in and
that's what I'm scared about.
Yeah, I can see now someone's going to pull him down for a penalty, aren't they?
Yeah, and he'll put it away. Because, any player that we've been remotely interested in the past is cursed to score against us in the very next game that we play them. Yes.
Naturally. Of course. But let's have a look at some previous encounters between Luton Town and Blackburn. So in terms of previous encounters, if you want to see a bit more than FOTMob has to offer, I recommend go check out hattersheritage.co.uk for every single meeting between Luton Town and Blackburn, dating back to the inception of the solar system and when professional football started up. Go check it out. I'll put it in the description of this video. But for the benefit of FOTMob, I have 8 games. What do you reckon the spread is?
A few draws in this one. Trying to think. I reckon something like 3 draws and then 4 wins for Luton. And what's that? 1 win for Blackburn.
1.
Yes, well done.
You had it so close. So 1 win for Blackburn. 1 win for Blackburn.
I feel physically sick. Yeah.
4 draws and 3 wins for Luton Town. So it's it's a team that we've had the better of largely over the past, the last 5 years. Any of you mentioned I feel sick, I feel physically sick. Any other games?
It's not really the game that sticks in my head for that one. It's just the post-match from Nathan Jones.
Iconic.
No, I mean, I'm going to say the obvious that everyone says, aren't they? That the drunkest I've ever been at home watching a football match, because the nerves I just couldn't handle it. 3-2 to save our season in lockdown. Surely that's got to be everyone's. The Colo penalty where he half fell over and still stuck it in. Oh my God! Yeah, I still feel just a bit getting heart palpitations thinking about it now.
I maintain to this day, well, that was a wonderful evening. I remember it was a very warm July evening. I was watching it out on a balcony. having a few drinks. It was wonderful. I maintain, though, to this day, Collins was one of the worst penalty takers we ever had. Like, yes, he put them away, but
You don't.
he put the one away against Watford, but he never looked comfortable taking a penalty.
No,
he always
didn't.
looked like his standing foot was about to fall over. And the amount of double hits, like I think there was a time against Middlesbrough where he double hit it into the net. He never looked comfortable taking a penalty. They mostly went in, though.
Yeah, better than the failed Panenka of Danny Hilton's, though.
Yeah, like, that's why James Collins started taking the penalties, because Danny Hilton started missing a few, and then James Collins just didn't. He never looked comfortable taking a penalty. But never mind. The one that sticks in my mind is the 2-2 at Ewood Park with the late show Luke Berry when he went celebrating and got tangled up in the boom mic. I love it.
Yeah, he'd be out for 12 months in our current squad doing that, wouldn't he? But lucky for us, he wasn't. Yeah, excellent game.
Yeah, it was a good one. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts and memorable moments with Blackburn Rovers are. But now it's time. Let's kick it over to Phil. He's meeting with the opposition. He actually got someone this week. So take it away, Phil.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Ollie. It's lovely to hear you guys chatting about finally us getting 3 points at home the other day. Doesn't it make a lovely change that I'm introducing this show with a smile on my face for once? Today, though, I'll be speaking to Dirk from the Blackburn Roverseas show. And I look forward to speaking to him because Blackburn are on a particularly good run of form. They're in the playoff spots and life is looking pretty rosy for them under the tutelage of John Eustace. So looking forward to hearing what he's got to say shortly. In regards to Luton Town and a little bit from me, I was at the game on Tuesday night, thoroughly pleased to have 3 points under our belt. I think that Stoke were probably one of the worst sides we've seen at Kenilworth Road this year. I was a little bit wary of Tom Cannon and a couple of their other sort of playmakers, but they largely spent their time moaning and rolling around on the floor. Other than Tom Cannon's goal, they offered very little, which I was really pleased about. So it was a great 3 points. Hopefully it will set a different tone for the weekend. And without trying to be a doom mongerer, it would be another defeat on the road if we were to lose this weekend, and we want to halt that. Losing 6 out of 6 is simply not good enough. We need to be looking onwards and upwards, and hopefully the squad will have enough legs in them. I did find it a little bit peculiar that we didn't make any subs on Tuesday night, but I guess we trust Rob Edwards and knowing his squad and knowing what was going on at that particular point. And ultimately, it paid off by having the likes of Adebayo, Morris, Brown, Krause on the pitch that were able to effect change and able to get us over the line for those 3 points. So, happy that we got those 3 points under our belt. The table looks a lot healthier, but wouldn't it just be a huge boost to us if we were to go away to Ewood Park and I don't know, invoke the spirit of Luke Berry and get a couple of last-minute goals or something like that could give us a point at least away from home. That would be absolutely wonderful and unexpected. But moving forwards, I'm just about to go and introduce Dirk from the Blackburn Roverseas. Here we go. So everyone, here as promised, I've got Dirk. Dirk, first and foremost, could you introduce yourself to the Luton fans and potentially the Rovers fans that probably will already know you, but just to see if there's any more followers that from the Luton Town fan base that might want to give you a bit of a like and subscribe. So where can they find you at?
Yeah, my name's Dirk. I'm, I guess, the face of the place over at Blackburn Roverseas. Been doing it for a long, long time now. It's a fan channel, I guess, over for Blackburn Rovers. We recently surpassed the official Blackburn Rovers account, so I'm happy with that. But you can find me on YouTube. I am on Twitter, not Twitch. What's the other one? TikTok, a little bit, just dabbling in there. But Twitter is another place you can find me. But I've been doing it for a long time, covering everything Blackburn Rovers and more.
Lovely stuff. We'll hopefully get a few likes and subscribes out of us following this. So, but Dirk, you're here to talk to me about the upcoming game, but I want to get a little bit of a sense of the vibe around Rovers at the minute, because as we were sort of discussing before recording, it's not always been the most fruitful situation in the Championship. You've been battling away for some years, but this season it seems decent. Like, you're off the back of 2 1-0 wins. You're sitting comfortably in the playoff places. I mean, what's the sort of vibe like as a Rovers fan at the minute?
Yeah, it's actually quite pleasant. It's a bit of a surprise to us all. We and especially from the opinions of others, even third party unbiased folks. They all wrote us off at the start of the season, and the majority of Rovers fans also kind of wrote us off to a point. We of course had a miserable campaign last year, surviving by crazy means, winning the last 2 games, or 2 of our final couple of games against heavyweights Leeds and Leicester. So it's just, we're just stunned to still be in the division because of our scenario. But having said that, sold the division's top goal scorer, Sam Smodic. You thought the world is going to come crashing in, but for whatever reason, and I probably put a lot of emphasis on John Eustace and what he's created with our tight-knit squad. It's we're doing good right now, and I think the main general vibe around Ewood and Blackburn Rovers is surprisingly positive. You mentioned 2 1-0 wins. It's actually 4 1-0 wins at the moment. And
Are you on the run of 4 1-0 wins?
4 1-0 runs.
2. Goodness me!
But 5 wins on the spin. So we're actually bubbling at the moment, and long may it continue. And but no, there is, it's a good feeling, and I think we bought ourselves some time to enjoy this run. But we're Blackburn Rovers. I'm Blackburn Rovers anyway. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, because reality does bite, and it can bite pretty soon in this calendar, because this is when we typically fall off form.
In this calendar, in this league, I guess, but what a formula! Like, I didn't realise it was that many. I'll be honest with you, that's my bad on my research part. But to be able to score goals and keep clean sheets, like that's ultimately, from a Luton's fan, that's how we went up. Last time we were in the Championship, it was based on 1-0 wins. So it's a wonderful formula, and like, if you can keep that going, then you keep that going. But you mentioned about the loss of Sammy Smodic in the summer, and how big of a loss that could have been for you guys, having sort of led you to survival last year. I mean, this year you've got Ohashi up front, and I've spoken about him in the past on our various different shows, and I properly rate him. I always say about the fact that you've got a better Hashi than we've got, because ours is not that great. He obviously, he was replaced by Gay as well earlier on in the week, and he scored the winning goal. Is it going to be Ohashi that starts, do you reckon, on the weekend, or is he vying for his place? Or
well, Hashi has been regular up top, but the goals have dried up for Hashi. But I had a little bit of a sort of, not a discussion with some Rovers fans this past week on Twitter. Some were complaining that he hasn't scored the goals, but to be honest with you, with the 1-0 wins, we're getting the wins, we're getting the results. But you just got to watch Ohashi. His involvement in Rovers play at the moment might not necessarily be putting the ball in the back of the net. He's just tenacious. He chases every ball down. He gives the defense little time to breathe. So the goals may have dried up, but his involvement is second to none. It is a bit of a quandary though this weekend, because he didn't score the goal. We were looking for the win against Sheffield Wednesday, and Big Mac, who has been on the opposite end of Rovers fans at the minute, not scoring the goals, looking a little bit clumsy, but he kind of gave his best performance in his 20-minute cameo against Sheffield Wednesday. So it is a puzzler, but to be honest with you, I think Ohashi does start. He has to start, because he just opens up space for other players in that. I think you just what we're going to talk about maybe in a minute, that the back, the 3 behind, just creates opportunities for those guys to get the shots off and hopefully get another goal. But no, he's got to start for me. But it just gives us a bit of variety. If it ain't working, we got the big gangly fella who did score this week. So options, variety is the spice of life. And unfortunately, Eustace has a little bit of variety. We could do with a little bit more, but right now, I think Ohashi looks good.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things. I looked through your lineup from the game in midweek, and like you just alluded to, like we said about those three that are supporting Ohashi behind, and there's some serious talent there. I mean, you look at Dolan, and he was how strong it was between rumour and fact, I don't know, but Luton were linked to him a little while ago. And I remember getting really excited about it, thinking low centre of gravity, fast, clever, gets into positions. And you've got him that's been joined by Cantwell as well. And he's found a new lease of life, it seems like, because he's a bit of an enigma, I would argue. Cantwell, he was incredible at Norwich, and then being touted for staying in the Premier League despite their relegation. And then he went off to Scotland, and he's landed at Ewood Park, and he seems to be doing really, really well as well. And then you've got Hedges. So that is a seriously strong sort of front four, if you want to put it that way. And the worry about the weekend from a Luton's perspective is, how do we cope with that? You know, because those guys are on fire at the minute.
Yeah, well, you might have a little bit of a blessing because Cantwell has been suspended. It's actually poor on his behalf. He actually got the yellow card when he wasn't even on the pitch. You know, he was squabbling or doing some delay against Sheffield Wednesday. Got the yellow card. That's his fifth or something. So he's out. So that will be that's the major concern for Rovers, because he does create so much. His goal involvements haven't been that great, but it's just, you know, it's the pass before the pass that Cantwell's been doing. So opportunity knocks for Lewis Baker, who I'm a big fan of. Can't get in the team because of the defensive duo Travis and Tronstad have just been phenomenal. They're our players of the season right now. They're just grinding it out and breaking everything down. So a chance for Baker, who is a bit more defensive than Cantwell, and a chance for him, I think, to fill that void. But yeah, the other, Hedges, good player as well. He can be a little hot and cold. And Tyree Stolen, again, he's churning out some performances. He's a bit 50-50. Some days you get him on a good day and he's unplayable sort of thing. He won the penalty against, who was it? I can't remember. Was it? I can't remember the game, because they're all in 1-0s. It was the one when Cantwell scored. Was it Leeds or Borough? I think it was Leeds, maybe Leeds.
I remember it. I remember him wriggling in there.
Yeah. So he won that one, and then he's a frustrating chap. It's done because his contract expires, and we want him to sign. He's just playing us around, and it's frustrating that he won't commit to the project right now. But hey, it's a good option to have. Like you said, he's a bit of a wizard on his day, but sometimes he can have an off day, and we've had a couple of those in recent times.
I mean, if he's magical enough to get you up, then you've got every chance of keeping him. I guess that's the positive spin on it. Yeah,
and then we'll have the leverage and we go, well, do you want to, then he'll have to come back with his tail between his legs and go, yeah, I'll sign that contract. That's dreamland right now. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but right now we're just grinding and hopefully Luton could be the next one. You never know. Who knows?
Well, I mean, it's one of those ones where, I hope not, but not skirting over that. But yeah, I mean, in terms of aspirations wise, I mean, obviously, like I say, you're sitting comfortably in the sort of playoffs at the minute. Your home form is excellent as well, and it is one of those ones where I'm assuming your aspirations for the season have massively changed since the start of it, given the history of what happened last year.
Yeah, well, I think I talked to my fellow Rovers fans quite regular, and with the goal, like week in, week out, or month by month, the goalposts change a little bit and we move it up. But I think we're all sensible enough not to get ahead of ourselves. Maybe if we had this chat on the return fixture at Kenilworth Road, we might move the goalposts a little bit closer. But right now, we had Mowbray for a long time, and this winter period is when we usually fall off. And it even happened with John Dahl Thomason previously. So we're hoping, because John Eustace seems to have something different about him. He's not as I won't say photogenic, but he's not in the camera as much as maybe John Dahl Thomason. He's just going under the radar a little bit, and I think that's good. And the players seem to be bought in on his and his mentality. So that could be the difference between success and failure for Rovers this season, whereas we might have got a little bit ahead of ourselves previously and other managers.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things, isn't it? John Dale Thompson was like former Premier League player. You know, he's naturally going to draw attention to Rovers just through his sheer profile. But I feel like John Eustace as a Championship manager, I feel like he had an unfair situation where he was ousted for a Premier League legend at his last job, and I'm thoroughly pleased for him. I think good on him, like that he's got back into the Championship and he's doing bloody well. Let's be honest. So yeah. But also before we came on air, you contacted my colleague and we do our predictor league of the Sluga Six. So thank you so much for taking part in that. And I saw that you'd put down a 1-1 draw for this weekend. So what are your thoughts behind that for the game at the weekend?
Well, we like your goalkeeper, obviously, former Rover self, and we rate Kaminsky highly. Coming back to a place he'll get a great reception from the fans. We wished him well when he went to you guys for the Premier League football, but now situations have changed. You're the opposition now, so no, I rate. You guys have got Premier League quality across the board. Your away form is not great, but. I just feel this is a lot. I just did a bit of research myself on some other unbiased opinions out there, what they're going for. A lot of them going with Rovers. I just feel that you can't underestimate Luton Town. They've got some real good quality up top. They might not be banging on all cylinders just yet, but I feel you guys will get it right, or things will start clicking properly soon. Whether it's this game or the one after, hopefully the one after. But I just think that. I don't want to underestimate you guys. I feel that you've got goals in you. It's definitely a coin flip of a game. I think we can win. I also think you guys can win, but I just think, and when you look back at the history of this game, it's pretty even over the last 7. I don't even know how many. We haven't played that often, but it seems pretty down the middle. So I'm just going to go with the trend and go with my gut. I think it's going to be a draw.
No, good on you. I appreciate that. I think it's interesting for me to when I speak to the guys that are opposition previews, and they quite often overestimate Luton in some ways. I think until you play them, until you see them with your own eyes, it's been a real struggle. Honestly, it's been really, really difficult. And the reason I've put us down for a loss is because you win at home, we lose away. That's the way the trend is going. And I think that the game in midweek was a hard one on the starting 11's legs because they played the whole 90, all of them. There was no substitutes made, which is really unusual. But we've got a whole bunch of injuries. We put 2 keepers on the bench the other day. We had a couple of our sort of younger lads that were in the development squad not so long ago. So I'm wary about legs. But ultimately, you'll see it with your own eyes how you think that we do at the weekend, and I'm hopeful. If we got a 1-1 draw, I'll be over the moon. So I'll snap your hand off for that right now. But anyway, Dirk, I just want to reiterate my thanks for you joining us today, and I hope that I get to speak to you later on in the season, like we said, and fingers crossed from your behalf that you're still up there in the playoffs, and that Luton Town are safe. Fingers crossed, because I quite like this league. I'd like to stay in it. So take care, Dirk, and thank you so much again.
No worries. See you later.
So, guys, that was Dirk from the Rover Seas show. So, and I really enjoyed speaking to Dirk. Obviously knows his stuff very, very well. He's been a Rovers fan since the 1990s, so he's had some serious ups and serious downs, bless him. But it was lovely to chat to him and reminisce about our own various different journeys. He's gone for a 1-1 draw, which I said in the podcast I would absolutely snap his hand off for a 1-1 draw. But it's going to be a tough one. Their home form is exceptional. Our away form is not. So we'll go in with hope rather than expectations, I think. But the main thing is that I took from that was that there's changes that are needed from the Rovers team as well. Like the fact that they've got Cantwell out is a massive boost for the Hatters, and hopefully we can take advantage of it. You never know. So fingers crossed. I'll hand back over to Ollie and Mark, and thank you as always for watching. Take care, guys.
Cheers, Phil. I'll see you. Well, I won't see you at the game. I'll see you at the next home game. I'll see you at the pub on Sunday, mate. Right. So, who is the danger man that you're worried about for this game?
It's kind of hard to narrow it down to one. I'm going to leave you to talk about Ohashi because I almost certainly you're going to, because you were bigging him up all season. So I mean, him is obviously one of them. But like I said, I'll let you speak about it. For me, Dolan or Hedges, I think for me are the two that are going to be the big dangers. I think both of them have been excellent this season, and Hedges refound his form as well. Tyrese Dolan, not great by all accounts last season, although I think he was out for some games as well. But just such a danger man, like you say, coming down the wing, cutting in. And of course, that plays into our traditional weaknesses as well, their speed going forward. I will mention this. I know you said one, but I will mention just as a general team thing, the other problem we've got is they don't concede goals. The last few games they've barely conceded any goals. That for me is also going to be something that is going to be something that we need to build on from Tuesday, which was much better, but it's going to be a much tougher test going forward. Stoke let us in their box a lot. I don't see that happening. We're going to be limited to one or two, if we're lucky, clear-cut chances on Saturday.
So 5 wins on the spin, a 3-1, and then 4 1-0 wins. But the last time we had the form team in the division for a game, that was Cardiff. We beat them. And it depends entirely on winning the midfield battle. So the danger man for me, Travis, who's very industrious. Cantwell, if he drops deep and also gets involved. Personally, I'm a bit worried about playing a 2-man midfield, but if they're up for it, they're up for it. And Ohashi, he's been a revelation. There's a real smattering of Asian players in the championship this season, and their technical abilities are ridiculous. And I thought he would be hitting the numbers of like a Ben Brereton, a Adam Armstrong, a Sammy Smodics, because Blackburn always have that one person that just bags all the goals for them. This season, the goals are spread, through the team. Everyone is contributing, so fair play to them. It's a very different Blackburn side under John Eustace, and I really rate him. And I'm glad he's finally getting a fair shake of the managerial stick. Because Birmingham didn't give him the chance, did he? And, he's showing exactly what he can do with Blackburn Rovers. He's made them into a proper team. Right. And that brings us on to score predictions.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win. I think it's difficult to predict Blackburn to do anything else but win, considering their last few performances. And you're right, we have played the form team in the league in Cardiff before, but that was at home. And I think we all know how different our home and away form has been this season. I think we would have to improve a lot more than we did on Tuesday, despite how positive it was, in order to get anything from this game. So if we continue to improve and we play well and we still lose by the odd goal, I'll take that. And it's something we can progress and work on. So it sounds like a negative prediction, but actually I think 2-1 with some progression, I'd take it. Obviously, I'd rather us get some points. But yeah, there we go. 2-1 Blackburn for me.
Look, all runs come to an end. It's not like Blackburn are going to go unbeaten for the rest of the season. And I think the green shoots of success that we saw in the previous game against Stoke, and I said it, Stoke were good. Stoke weren't so bad. And hopefully we've had enough time to sort of identify the issues. So I've gone for a 2-1 Luton away win. And as you know, I'm always on the money with my predictions. I said Sunderland would run out of steam. I said Sheffield United would walk the league. So, counting them all as wins.
So far, so good.
I think right now, there's been a lot of pressure on Rob Edwards. We've been giving it, other podcasts have been giving it, and he's not going anywhere. He's going to get the window, and I think he could turn it around. Look, we all wanted him to turn it around, and it seems the only people that were reluctant to get rid of him were the board, and that's what matters ultimately. And I genuinely think the players showed in that turnaround against Stoke, they are playing for him. They believe in him. So hopefully they can go one step further and cut this fantastic run of form that Blackburn are on. And that is the ultimate way that the players can show that they're backing the manager.
Yeah, of course. It depends how fresh they are as well. If they play the same team, it won't be much changed. It can't be because of our injuries. So we're not going to make wholesale changes. We know that didn't work against Borough anyway, did it? So it will depend a lot on that as well. And just hope that we, if we play like we did against Norwich, minus the silly mistakes, then we'll have every chance.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about cutting out those mistakes that you mentioned, the mistakes against Norwich. I'd say Blackburn are probably as good as Norwich. I think Norwich just they also make mistakes that you can see just from how many goals that Norwich have conceded. Obviously, Blackburn won't. Man for man, I'd say Norwich are comparable to Blackburn, but it's just Blackburn don't make those mistakes, with John Eustace doing what he does. But I think that's the perfect time to end this, and let us know in the comments what you think is going to happen in this game. If you've enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up, not just at your screen right now, give us a thumbs up on the old YouTube, click the thumbs up button and subscribe for even more content. But enjoy the rest of the week, and most importantly, come on you Hatters.